Hey guys, this is my project for my solar power class. It is specifically a proposal almost for a solar design of a community center that would be located on the island of Enneber. The island of Enneber is located in the Marshall Islands, and this country's really had a few problems, a lot of problems. It's a third world country located in the middle of nowhere, and in recent years they haven't been able to afford any of the petroleum because of increased fuel prices that they use for electricity they use to power their generators. This is a problem because not only do the remote islands lack electricity, but urban hubs are also where people tend to go to get a lot of things they don't have access to on remote islands are not being electrified either. This problem also leads to a bunch of other problems, but the two big problems they have currently, besides this, is lack of clean water and inability to store food or refrigerate food. And the lack of clean water, there have been a lot of projects in the last few years, so that's not what we're going to focus on in this project. In this project, we're going to focus on ways the community can sort of store and refrigerate food in their community. Because they have not been able to refrigerate food in their community, they have a nutrition problem where over 20% of the entire population has diabetes, and this number is reportedly going to rise in the next few years, which is a little scary. So this is the island of Enneber. It is located specifically in the Kwajalein Atoll of the Marshall Islands. It is a really small island. It's only 0.06 square miles in area. It's about 400 to 300 square meters across. Most of the inhabitants are employed at a local island military base called Roy-Namur, and they are dependent on the military base for their foodstuffs, their clean water, their clothing, most of anything that they need to live. And this island has no electricity at all, so this is a good place to put PV. So next, we're going to look at the concept for the design. The whole idea is that it would be a community center that would be located inside the Third Island School, which is one of the more stable buildings on the island. The idea would be that you turn the storage space of the school into an area that would have refrigeration, a freezer, a washing machine, a cooktop, and multiple outlets so they can plug things in that they need to. Things like cell phones or you'd never know really what they'll need, and so you want to have it ready for them just in case. The roof of this building is quite large. Total, it's 3,200 square feet, which is more than enough space for me to put all the solar panels I need and more on it. So the idea is that this works out well. Either this could be expanded in the future to power the school or even neighboring buildings. So it's kind of a trial run. This is the solar resource that you see in the Marshall Islands. It's hard to get specific data for each island, so I kind of use the country's capital, Majuro, for my average solar resource, and you can see it averages about 6 kilowatt hours per meter per day, which is pretty solid. And then down below, you see a picture of the actual Third Island School roof building and the kind of solar exposure it gets. And you can see that there's really nothing that's inhibiting or casting shadows onto this building, not even palm trees, so it's an excellent location for putting PV panels. The load specifically for this we went over. It's comprised of DC and AC loads, which is a bonus, but there's a lot of loads on this line, so it needs pretty high capacity equipment. Like the inverter, for example, they need over 10,000 watts of surge protection, so I decided to choose a stackable inverter that would be able to handle this kind of load. My battery I chose was an industrial battery. The system requires about 900 amp hours per day, so I chose a battery that can handle 1,500 amp hours of capacity. It's a pretty heavy-duty battery, but I've heard from the Crown manufacturers, as well as comments, people who've used and bought this battery, that these things really do last for 20 years or more. So that's solid. If this thing can last the lifetime of the system in general, I'll take it. They are about $7,000 each, but there are only 2 of them, so I think that's worth the cost. The solar panels next. I'm really excited about the solar panel in particular because LG has been working on this solar panel that is made for tropical wet environments. So this panel right here can hold up against extreme sun exposure and constant water spray, which is great because you're on the beach, so you're going to get that. These panels have an 18.3% efficiency and have been known to last about 20 years. That's what they say anyway, so fingers crossed. These panels are a little bit more expensive. They're $374 per panel, and at 18 panels, that's going to be a large chunk of change, but I think it's worth it with all of these upgrades that will make them work well in this kind of environment. Is what you need, something that's going to last long in a remote environment. So my recommendations in general are for the U.S. government to fund this project. They already pay over $71 million to the RMI, the Marshallese, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, every year for a variety of reasons. We did a lot of missile testing and nuclear bomb tests on them, which weren't good. So a lot of that is in we owe you for that. But they also feel kind of responsible for them. And a lot of that money goes to projects like this. So if they were going to fund anything of that $71 million, $30,000 for one little system, they could probably spare. And they constantly are doing projects like this throughout the Marshall Islands. So I think it's a reasonable thing to propose to the U.S. government. And then, so here are my summary tables of, all the other components that I was not able to talk about, as well as just the solar system summary. And I think that if something like this were to work and be proposed and trialed in the Marshall Islands, it could really be a guideline and a model for other systems being proposed or put up throughout the Marshall Islands and in all these different remote locations. So, yeah, thank you.